So hello. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kristen. I'm an illustrator, and this is my happy little art home. Today we're actually following up on my 90-day comic challenge. I'm doing a comic book in 90 days as part of How to ADHD's 90-day accountability challenge. For more information and take a look at my previous video, went more into detail there. So today we're going to go over one of arguably the hardest and messiest steps, and that is just some planning. In particular, today is going over some rough outlines that I did, and some a little bit of environmental art, as well as some world building, some lore stuffs. This is really early in the project, so don't worry, things are going to change a little bit. And little disclaimer here right out of the bat, I am not an expert. This is not a tutorial as much as it is a progress and process log. So if I say something that helps you, awesome, and I will totally answer any questions that you might have down in the comments. But if I don't do something the same way that you would, don't take offense to it. It's just everybody has their own creative process. Now, as far as me, I tend to prefer world and lore building to plot. So I start broad and general. My first piece is typically big and disposable. I like to use either butcher paper or some just large sheet of cheap paper that I don't care about. It is big enough that I can hang it on the wall so I can look from across the room and see a reference for what the heck I'm doing and where I'm at. And it's disposable, so I don't fall in love with anything that's actually written on it. I tend to write a broad elevator pitch across the top, again, so I can see it from where I'm working. If I decide later on I don't like a plot point, it's not like I have to get married to it. I can totally change around my own work, right? So I wanted the story to be a science fiction dystopia. And for places, I knew I wanted to do some sort of a colony, like a space colony. The moon sounded cool, but the moon is very quick to get to, relatively speaking, and even quicker when you factor in futuristic tech. And I wanted this to be kind of closed and remote, so I decided that an outer planet would be better than an inner planet. I decided, at first it was between Saturn and Jupiter, decided more on Jupiter just because there's a ton of moons to pick from. And the lucky moon that's getting our colony is Europa. Just because it has a good source of water, the atmosphere isn't trying to boil you alive like Io is, and it's far enough from Jupiter to be safe-ish, while still gaining the reflective light from it as sort of like a light source. Now because of this, I'm actually using a lot of oranges and reds as like a tint color. The actual piece is going to be mostly grays, but I also used my initial sketches as a playground to test out any materials that I wasn't sure if I would like and really nail down an art style. So during this, a friend and I actually chatted about it. We sat there and fact-checked everything. We just poured over options. And if you have a friend willing to sit there and talk shop with you while you're doing this, I definitely recommend it. It makes the planning go way faster, and it's amazing the creative ideas you can have when you're bouncing them off other people. Likewise, your stupider ideas will sound stupid out loud. So definitely would, at the very least, repeat everything you say out loud to see if it sounds okay. So I used the concept phase to experiment with paper types, with mediums. I plan on binding everything together later as a concept collection, so I don't mind that it's all loose leaf. Now because Europa is an ice planet, they do have access to water, but they don't have access to a good atmosphere. It's freezing outside, it barely has an atmosphere, and there is no chance of putting one on Europa just because the gravitational pull from Jupiter is just too much. So because of that, we're gonna be in domes. So the big dome that we're going to start with has 2 layers, and the citizens are actually divided by class, depending on how much sunlight, Jupiter light, that you can get. It's definitely a story of the haves and the have-nots through this, as well as a world where technology is starting to encroach on the quote-unquote natural world. So you're seeing a lot more hostility between people who have mechanical parts, or maybe like a mechanical heart, or maybe they just wanted a really cheap ticket to get to the colony and went a little bit more robotic. We'll get to that in a minute. So the trip itself takes about 3.5 years at its fastest. Most cargo vehicles take 5. And I wanted it to be sectioned away from the rest of Earth, so you really felt that claustrophobia in the story that you would see in a ramshackle colony like this. And as the years went on, more housing has been added to this, so it's not just the dome anymore. There's actually buildings outside of the dome connected by tramways. So that way there are still places to live, but the further away you get, the lower quality the housing tends to get. Again, creating a very tense situation between each place of work and living arrangements, I guess. So the tickets for transport are very expensive, but are based on space needed in the cabin. So if you happen to, say, not have legs, you're going to have a cheaper ticket than somebody who does. Likewise, there is a brain in a box price, where they literally pop your brain out, freeze it, and then put it in a robot body called unidroids at the end. And some of these are completely at will, and then some of these are much less so, as this has also been used as a form of capital punishment in this time. So mechanical enhancements are themselves taboo in this world, because they can, certain ones can make the recipient immortal, but they legally lose their humanity as soon as they cross over to that. They become more androids than human. Again, tension we're going for here. This is definitely going to be a technology meets humanity in the near future. So the economy itself is going to be based around moon and asteroid mining in the general area. It makes more sense for them to want to make the most of the area and all the range of minerals that you can get from the umpteen million different moons that Jupiter, Saturn, and the asteroid belt would give you. Well, not just moons, but space rocks. There's a brand new push for space tourism. Again, creating more conflict between the elites versus people who are just trying to get by. So anyway, this has been a bit of a glimpse into the last week of work and the new world on Europa. So I still need a title. If anybody has any ideas, please leave those in the comments. Definitely will take any recommendations you got. Thanks for getting this far, by the way. And as always, please like me, subscribe for more updates on the project. There will be more coming. In fact, like I said before,